Welcome back to N.Rajini Kiranmai YouTube channel. This video is going to explain you about what is a flowchart. So in this video, we are going to present you before you what is the definition of a flowchart, what are the different symbols used in a flowchart, and of course we are going to explain the concept with the examples of different flowcharts. So let us start. What is a flowchart? Coming to the definition of a flowchart, it is also a process where this flowchart is a step-by-step process where this step-by-step process is represented in a graphical or pictorial representation to solve a particular problem or a task. In a simple way, we can define saying that the flowchart is a graphical or symbolic representation of a process. So the flowchart is going to provide the user the visual logic of the process. So I can say the flowchart is used to design or document a complex process to help the user to get the visual logic of the complete complex process. When designing a flowchart, each step that is involved in the process is depicted by a different symbol, and along with the symbol, a short description is associated in it. The symbols in the flowchart are linked together with arrows to show the flow of the logic in the process. Now let us look to different symbols that we are going to use in the flowchart. The first symbol we are talking about is a oval or a rounded rectangle, where this symbol is used for the purpose of start and end or stop representations. Later, we use a different arrow-headed links, up arrow, down arrow, moving to the right, moving to the left. Arrow-headed links are used in order to explain the data flow. And of course, the rectangle symbol is also used in the flowchart to represent the processing step or calculation step. And coming to the fourth symbol, that is parallelogram symbol, is used to represent reading or writing or inputting data or outputting the data. Rhombus symbol or decision symbol is used to represent the condition or the decision. And circle is a symbol used for the connector. And in the next slide, we talk about each symbol and what is the purpose we are going to use that symbol in the flowchart. Start and end symbols. For this work, we use oval or rounded rectangle. These symbols are also termed as a terminal symbols, and we are going to use this terminal representation with a vowel. And always these terminal symbols are used at the first and the last element in the flowchart. Second one is arrows. Arrows depicts the flow of control of the program. They illustrate the exact sequence in which the instructions are executed. Third one is processing symbol or calculation symbol. For that we use the rectangle. It is also called as an activity represented with a rectangle. Activities include instructions such as add A to B, save the result, and these type of activities are written within a rectangle. Therefore, a processing symbol represents the arithmetic or data movement instructions. The fourth symbol that we use is input or output symbol. For this, the symbol or picture that we are going to use or graphical representation that we are going to use is a parallelogram. This parallelogram is used to get inputs or read the data from the user or to display or print the results to the user on the screen. And in the fifth point, we are talking about the decision or conditional symbol, and the symbol or graphical representation that we use is a diamond box. So it is used to depict yes or no question or true or false test. And there will be two links coming out of it, one from the bottom point and other from the right point corresponding to yes or no, or sometimes we can use a right or left which represents yes or no. The decision symbol in a flowchart can have more than two arrows, which indicates that a complex decision is being taken. And of course, the sixth symbol that we are going to use is a labeled connector, that is a circle. Connectors are represented by a identifying symbol inside a circle and are used in complex diagrams to substitute for arrows. For each label, the outflow connector must have one or more inflow connectors. A pair of identically labeled connectors is used to indicate a continued flow when the use of lines becomes confusing. Now let us move to an example of a flowchart. In this slide, we have presented how to draw a flowchart to find the sum of two numbers. To do so, initially, I have used the rounded rectangle to represent start. Later, we used a parallelogram to read two numbers, that is, read A comma B. And in the third, I have used a rectangle to do the calculation of summing, that is, sum is equal to A plus B. Later, after calculating the sum, I wanted to display the result to the user. For that, I have used a parallelogram with a small description saying display sum. And lastly, to end the process, I have used the stop symbol, that is rounded rectangle. Let us move to the second flowchart. And this slide is going to talk about the flowchart to find the largest among three numbers. To do so, first we have started our process. Later, we are reading three numbers, read A, comma B, comma C. After reading, now I have to test which number is greater than the other two. To do so, initially I wrote a condition, is within a diamond box, is A greater than B. If it is true, the flow will move towards the right, and then I'm checking is A greater than C. If it is true, finally I'll display that A, print A. So as A is the biggest number. If say suppose, if A is greater than C is false, then it is going to move towards the left hand side direction and finally conclude saying that C is the biggest one. Say for example, in the first condition itself, if the condition is false, so that is B is big. So now I have to check whether B is bigger than C. So to the left hand side, I have moved towards the left and then I wrote one more condition saying that is B greater than C. If it is true, then B is printed, and if it is false, C should be printed. And finally, all these have to get integrated at one stop, and from there we have presented to stop the process by using a rounded rectangle called stop. Let us move to the third example where we are going to talk about the flowchart to print the first two natural numbers. That is, I wanted to do the repetition work here. So for that, I have used start. Then I have moved to a rectangle box to initialize I value with 1. And then now I have to check whether I have to do the process repeatedly until the I value should be less than or equal to 2. If it is true, then only I have to go towards the true part and I have to print I. So initially it was 1. Of course, 1 is less than or equal to 2. Then print I means 1 is displayed here. Then now I is incremented with 1, that now I becomes 2. After getting incremented, again it moves back to the condition to check whether 2 is less than or equal to 2. Yes, it is true. That's why it moves to the true part and prints 2. And then now I becomes 3. And of course it moves back and checks the condition 3 is not less than or equal to 2. That is the reason why it moves towards a false direction and then reaches to the stop. Thank you for watching this video.